Jeezy got a divorce.
Jeezy
got a divorce. It hurts my soul.
Holy shit.
For divorce.
He didn't get a divorce.
He filed for divorce.
So
It's the same thing to me. It hurts my soul.
No, hopefully they right.
Did y'all know that before they got married, there was that clip of her from her show saying how she wouldn't date a black guy?
I remember that.
Okay.
But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white man. That's what I like.
Suffice it to say, that was just a taste of what he seemed to have gone through while he was with her, and the words came from Jeezy himself.
I feel like that everyone needs to hear that. It was a little bit of paranoia, a whole lot of post-traumatic stress, a whole lot of trauma, depression, anxiety, all those things.
While it's a sad reality, several aspects of Jeezy and Jeannie Mai Jenkins' divorce make it far from regular besides the obvious fact of the pair being celebrities. It seems there might have been a lot of stress on Jeezy. To be a certain way now, we all know that marriage involves all kinds of sacrifices for it to truly work out. But it seems that with Jenkins and Jeezy, the rapper might have been the one who had to give up almost everything, while seeing as he's now out of the union with Jenkins, it seems. He's giving the world details about who the celebrity host truly is as a wife and partner. That's right, Jeezy has now taken to the public stage, just like he did with detailing his life to the public. With his book, he's explaining that there's a side to his now former wife that the world seems to have totally missed out on. What's more is that it seems to have taken such a toll on him that his exit was more about saving and securing his mental health than it was about him getting freedom. And now he's not holding back on why that even became his reality in the first place. This whole thing may not have been this much of a big deal if the man wasn't a hardcore rapper, but when someone with a life as turbulent as Jesus is saying they might have lived through hell with a partner that will probably consider it a big deal to most, there is also the fact that this man has told the story of his life once before, so much so that he seemed to have had one of best-selling books, so you can bet on it that everyone's listening to him. If you're also on that list, stay tuned till the end.
Yeah.
Now, my grandmother would say, why are you telling everybody your business?
Right.
Except you're living under an actual rock. There's almost no way in the world you haven't heard about the whirlwind of disasters that just struck the Jeannie Mai Jenkins household. For the people who have heard about the split between the pair, it almost seems easier to blame Jeezy for how things went down between the pair, but in reality the case is not as simple as it appears. You see, while in most cases of celebrity splits the men are usually quiet about what led to the split and are even the least likely to want the split in the first place, Jeezy seems to be a pioneer. Not only was he the person who wanted the split in the first place, but these days it seems the rapper is also spilling the tea about the sequence of events that led up to their separation in the first place. And suffice it to say, those details are ugly.
Well, I would say this, the thing that got me on my journey to healing is that I started to learn and understand what I was going through, because before that, I actually thought something was wrong with.
But before we get to Jeezy's details, let's carry the people living under a rock along, shall we? Per the news, rapper Jeezy has filed for divorce from TV personality Jeannie Mai Jenkins after 2 years of marriage. On September 14, the put-on rapper, whose birth name is J. Wayne Jenkins, filed to end his marriage on Thursday in Georgia's Superior Court of Fulton County.
And I didn't know I had trauma. I didn't know I was depressed. I didn't know I had anxiety. I didn't know I had post-traumatic stress. I thought these are all the things that we go through.
You thought it was.
According to the filing, the couple has been living in a bona fide state of separation, and their marriage is irretrievably broken with no hope for reconciliation. The pair welcomed their first child together, a daughter, in January 2022. Jeezy and Mai began dating in 2018 and were married in March 2021. Now, Jeezy is seeking joint legal custody of their daughter. According to the divorce documents, the two also had a prenuptial agreement that Jeezy expects will be enforced. According to the filing, however, the biggest lone fact in this whole divorce news is that Jeezy didn't actually open up to Jenkins about the divorce. That's right, the man blindsided her, so the only way she seems to have gotten the news about the divorce at the time would have been from the courts. Ouch. Anyway, the news about their divorce had several fans trying to figure out what factors could have been responsible for their union not working out. To some, their cultural differences seemed to be what in the way of their happiness. The user wrote clearly, they had a cultural indifference apparently. They didn't have an honest conversation on life's expectations, desires, wants, and needs from one another. Others seem to believe Jeezy might be jumping because his eyes have found a new apple they wrote usually, when a man is so adamant on cutting off a relationship is because he has eyes or is with someone else. We'll soon find out, mark my words, speaking from experience. Some, however, also believe that Mai might have pushed Jeezy away herself without even realizing it. They wrote she's fighting to stay married because she doesn't want to be a single mother with a mixed child that limits her options big time for her next high-value dude. Jeezy felt disrespected by her because she probably reverted back to her independent boss lady is that's not gonna fly with a dude like Jeezy. While the possibilities seem to be endless, it turns out this user might have been closer to figuring out the truth about the pair than they realized, as Jeezy seemingly confirmed that Jeannie was indeed the problem in their marriage.
He files for divorce from Jeannie Mai after 2 years of marriage.
And black women rejoice. Black women was dropping clues bombs all across the country.
According to the rapper, telling his story now seems to be an opportunity for him to be more honest with the general public about some of the struggles of marriage and how perception may not always be reality. Well, because I felt in the beginning that I was dishonest, and I learned as I went on that life is about honesty and integrity. And I was very ambitious back then. According to Jeezy, it seems his marriage was far from ideal, as the rapper also touched on having to deal with a lot of mental health issues while he seemingly believed he was trying to save his marriage. However, it seems that he couldn't hold up for much longer, as it might have been the main reason behind the rapper jumping ship. Jeezy's reaction to the whole thing has now left fans with even more questions, as several people have been on their toes trying to figure out what Jeannie could have done to have him not even talk to her about separation before serving her with papers. Turns out the pair had actually been struggling for a long time before the last straw was drawn. We just didn't notice because Jeannie kept trying to paint the family to be in a perfect state, and it seemed to span to the period before their wedding. You see, before they officially tied the knot, Jeannie had always been vocal about how having Jeezy was the best thing that happened to her during 2020's pandemic. The celebrity host spoke out about being in the house with her man. We looked at each other at this time of the quarantine like, you, if we can do this? Weird gangster, she told E! But at the time, we're doing amazing. She also added, I'm a super introvert, meaning I love quality conversations, I love intimacy, I love thoughtful presence for one another, so this is a dream for me, and it allows me to focus on how to support people who need it out there. She added, noting she's learned Jeezy is such an inspiring person to be around, and after they got married, she took it up a notch, so much so that nearly 3 months after their intimate wedding, Jeannie shared with E! Why being married to Jeezy felt 1000% different. Oh my god, married life feels 1000% different than when we were dating in the greatest way, she said at the time.
Now, my grandmother would say, why are you telling everybody your business?
Right.
I loved our dating life because we really spent such concentrated quality time getting to know each other and making sure that we were right for each other. And now being married, it's even more handled with such delicacy and such thoughtfulness because we're in our 40s and we both grew up in households that weren't healthy marriages. We have never seen what that looks like. In fact, it seems that in a bid to maintain this seemingly false perception of reality, Jeannie even planned a whole trip with Jeezy, and you can bet that everyone was watching them while they were at it. Per the news, Jeannie Mai Jenkins had a special surprise in store for her husband Jeezy to celebrate their anniversary. Taking my husband Jeezy to Vietnam was a long-awaited adventure, the TV personality exclusively told people. When Jeezy and I met, we bonded over the similarities and differences of our cultures. Now that we have a daughter blending our worlds, it gives even more meaning to explore Vietnam together as a multicultural family. For Christmas, I had give to Jay with the surprise that I was taking him to Vietnam. To explain to Jay where I was taking him in Vietnam, I made dioramas. The real alum spent a year and a half planning the perfect customized experience just to mark the couple's second wedding anniversary. I actually took a year and a half to plan this trip. Jeezy had no idea where we were going until we boarded the actual plane. She shares, our trip was very specific in that I wanted to try our hand at everything the locals do, from cooking and fishing to even farming. All I gave my husband was a list of what to pack, and the rest of the trip fell into place perfectly given Mai's character. It's safe to assume she was probably recording these moments as they occurred and sharing them online for fans to see their deep affection for each other. In reality, it appeared they genuinely loved each other, but this might have been what caused their problems in the end, seeing as Mai had taken the initiative to Lan, that whole experience, it appears that Jeezy might have been pressured to keep up the standard his wife had already set for her fans. Speaking of fans, the trip with Jeezy had several people gushing about the pair. One fan who seemed particularly intrigued wrote, listening to how Jeezy proposed to Jeannie Mai. They were supposed to be holidaying in Vietnam, but lockdown, he set up his house in the theme via Vietnam. Imagine the detailing, the decor, the lighting, the food, the music. Ladies never settle. Area to TT, however, several other people also revealed that they noticed some strange things while the couple were on the trip, and just like the people gushing, they also weren't quiet. One person wrote, "Nah." But that video Jeannie posted of them in Vietnam and she walks out on the balcony and Jeezy jumped and hit his phone had me curious since that very moment. Another user who also noticed how Jeezy didn't seem like himself on the trip wrote, "IDK, how celebs do it." Jeannie Mai went to Vietnam views and people in her comments really making it a race thing and saying he didn't look happy being there. It's Vietnam, a third world country. It's culture shock. It's a lot to get used to. It almost seems like this might be the foundation of things between them had gone from bad to worse, but the somewhat unusual part is that Jeannie seems to have seen it coming. Here's why I think so.